Hello again. This is Jerry Sanders, and sitting here with my grandson, reminiscing. I thought about a couple of incidents in my life, and thought I'd share them with you. Not that they're great stories, they're not, but when you hear them, whoever I told it to always said, chuckled and said that was, yeah, good memories. One was my there's a thing about me that if I want to talk to someone or meet someone, I go ahead and do it. That's why I became a sports reporter and a good one. I covered the New York Yankees for 40 years. And there are many superstars who are unapproachable. Actually, you can approach if you are strong enough and friendly enough and have something to say. I'm thinking right now of Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle and I became friends, not close friends. He didn't come over to the house for dinner, but friends professionally. And when he saw me coming, at first he would look the other way, ignore me, or walk the other way. But after many years, he saw me coming and he'd kind of smile and nod like, hey, here comes Jerry, or hi, Jerry, I see you. Yeah, I'll get to you in a minute, type of looks. And I was very proud of that. And the reason was that when I was with Mickey, I knew his reputation. I knew that basically he was very shy. So you got to just talk to him naturally. How you doing? Where are you going to have dinner tonight? Blah, blah, blah. And so because I'm that way, I married a girl, a beautiful girl, who was just the opposite. If she knew Mickey Mantle or Marilyn Monroe or someone was standing next to her, she'd walk away, shy, and wouldn't even turn around to look, at least to see how Marilyn looked like up close. Me, I'd go up and start talking with her. That's a hint. Celebrities are they're very talented people. And they're talkers. Talk with them. And part of that talk becomes an interview. All right, so because I was in the business, I always got tickets to Broadway shows. Most of the record companies backed the Broadway shows, and they were the co-owners and so forth. And so I was working Syracuse, and the record promoters would come and we'd talk about their record album, from Applause or Sweet Charity or this and that. And they said, would you like to see it? I said, great. Now it's about a 4-hour drive from Syracuse, New York. But I come from Westchester, and my family still lived here, so my wife and I would drive down, visit my folks, and then go to the city to see a show. Now we went to see Sweet Charity, I just mentioned that, at the Palace Theater, starring Gwen Verdon. I almost forgot her name. So we saw the show, and it was great. And when the show was over, after we stopped clapping our hands, I said to my wife, how about we go see her and Gwen and tell her how great she was and how much we liked the show? And she said, what do you mean go see her? I said, well, go to her dressing room and talk. I said, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean I can't do that? We know she's in the theater. She's still in costume. So let's go. So she goes, I don't believe this. I said, come on. So I grab her hand and we walk and we go to the stage door. Well, that's your big problem, because there's always a manager at the stage door to keep the wrong people out. Unless you have a pass or he recognizes you, or he's not going to let you in. However, if he thinks you belong there, and for some reason you have a big job there, and you're so busy you can't even acknowledge that he's standing there, he was in his mind, he's saying, do I know this guy? And so Dolores says, how are we going to get in? I said, and I've said this to many people since, Just act like you belong here. Act like you belong here. I said, well, what do you mean by that? I said, you'll see. Here we go. We're going to knock on the door, and when it opens, don't say a word. So we knock on the door, and I start talking like, and the door opens, and I grab her hand, and I'm saying things like, I told you that wouldn't work, but no, you wouldn't believe me. But then I almost kind of like push him away, and I'm ranting and raving about why I'm upset about why the deal didn't go through, and we're going to settle it once and for all. And when we talk to Gwen, she's going to tell you why. And we just walk by him. He doesn't even say, "Hey, where you going, buddy?" He just stares at us. Now, as I'm ranting, my wife says, "How do you know where she is?" I said, next day, they're going to hang a star on your door. Look for the star. So we're walking in. We walked about 20 feet, 25 feet, and there's a door with a star on it. I said, come with me, just hold on to my hand. I knock on the door opens, and there's Gwen Verdon. Very pretty girl. And she's still in makeup and costume. And she goes, yes, can I help you? I said, Gwen, hi, I'm Jerry Sanders. We wanted to come back. We love the show, blah, 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 blah. She goes, well, thank you. And I said, this is my wife, Dolores. Hi, Dolores. Would you like to? We talked to her maybe a minute. That's it. That's all I wanted. It was a thrill. She was very nice. We said, thanks so much. We'll let you get back. We know you're busy. Get the makeup. And so, okay, thank you very much. Now, she closed the door. She probably said, who the heck was that? And I'm walking her back with Dolores. Okay, let's get out of here quick before they find out who we are. And I'm saying, and then we're saying how nice she was, pretty. We come to the door, and the guard is still there. And I'm saying, well, that's it. I'm not dealing with this anymore. And I kind of look at him and nod. I'm saying, open the door. He opens the door. We walk out, and I'm still ranting. And to this day, he's probably saying, who was that phony that was in here? Well, that was me, Jerry Sanders. We got to meet Gwen, and I got to tell you the truth. We probably did that in 20 years. We probably did that 50 times to many actresses, actors, celebrities, baseball players, basketball. Just act like you belong there. They don't know, and you're not going to harm them. You just want to talk to them for a second and say hello and tell them how great they are. All performers love to hear how great they are. Tell them you were marvelous, you were great. Man, that double you hit down the line, unbelievable, nice going, blah, 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 and leave. Okay, Jerry Sanders, bye-bye for now. Okay, hello, this is Jerry. We're back with another very short story about some of the people I've met in my career. All of them are well known or famous, but that doesn't mean they're famous today. But they were renowned figures when I wouldn't interview them if nobody knew who they were. And one of the guys who comes to mind because we were looking at through an autograph book, my grandson and I, and we came across a picture of a very handsome man called Allan Jones. And Allan Jones was one of the early heartthrobs in movies in the 40s. He made a song famous, or vice versa. The song made him famous, and you can ask your grandparents about this. The song was The Donkey Serenade, and it was a beautiful song, and a song that someone with a beautiful voice could show it off because it had a beautiful range to it. But anyway, he was doing summer stock, and me being in the business, when I'm around performers or famous people, I want to make sure maybe I get to talk to them and put something on tape or on video, and then when I went back to work, we could use it. So, Allan Jones, this was during the summertime. I had brought the family up to Cape Cod, and of course there's always summer theater going on. Allan Jones was appearing at the hotel we were staying. And I interviewed him, and he was great. And so I got back to where we were staying, the apartment or the rooms, and told my family, and my children were very young then. And I said, tonight we're going to go see Allan Jones, blah, 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 who he is, and you're going to like him. And we went to the summer theater in the big tent, saw him perform. The kids liked him. Now, my children, three of them, were very young. My son was probably 6 years old, and then came my daughter Beth, and she was like 8 years old and 9 years old, and my oldest would be maybe 11 or 12. Well, they loved the show, and were hoping to get his autograph, and it couldn't be done. So the next day, we go to the beach, and we're all talking about the great show last night. And sure enough, I spilled the beans and told them that he was staying at our hotel. Well, they got very excited, and being the children of a showbiz guy, they weren't going to take no for an answer. And they wanted to tell him how great they thought he was and how much they liked it and got to get his autograph. So I said, well, I don't know where he is, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, we're going to get it. So they got back to the room, changed into normal summer clothes, sunsuits, got their autograph books, and ran over to the hotel. And I guess they asked at the front desk where he was, and they said, well, he's here, but you can't disturb him, this and that. And sure enough, when they said thank you, they left the front desk, ran up the hotel stairs, and went to his room, knocked on the door. I don't know if he said come in or nothing, but the door must have been ajar. So they peeked in the room, and there he was, sleeping in bed. So they walked over to the bed, shook him, woke him up, and got his autograph. Those are my children. They've done that to me many times, but they never asked me for my autograph. But anyway, my kids walked into a hotel room where a famous star was staying, woke him up while he was sleeping in his own bed to ask him for his autograph. And this is Allan Jones smoking the pipe that I gave him for his birthday. And everything's reversed here. But anyway, very handsome guy. Ask your grandparents about the donkey serenade. That's it. Toodaloo. To you, or? Okay, hello. This is Jerry Santangelo, sometimes known as Jerry Sanders, many years ago. And I'm sitting here on a spring afternoon with my grandson, Christian, who wants me to relate some stories that I don't know why he wants to hear them, but somehow they amuse him. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and he can tell me which one he wants to hear.
We're going to talk about when you were the driver to Colonel Connor.
Colonel Connor. Well, it was toward the end of my stint in the United States Army. It was in the 1950s, and that was kind of a short timer, which meant I was going to be discharged from the Army pretty soon. So they assigned me to Colonel Connor. He was a Brit, and he was dressed to the nines, as they said, and he walked with a swagger stick, and he had like blousey trousers, and he hit the side of his legs like he hit a horse, and he always called me Santangelo. And I'd drive to his house in the morning, and he was probably about 50 years old, and when I would see his wife come out to say goodbye to him, she looked like she was 18 years old. And she'd give him a kiss, and he'd come walking out, slapping the bushes with his whip, and say, "Good morning, Santangelo." And I'd have to salute him, because I couldn't sit in the Jeep when he was out of the Jeep. I had to get out and stand by. And then he had a special license plate saying he was a full bird colonel, which means he wore like the eagle. And so I'd say good morning, and I'd salute him, and then take the cover off the license plate and hop in the Jeep and get it going fast. And I'd say, "Where to, sir?" And he'd tell me where he wanted to go. And one time, I don't know if it's a story you wanted to hear, but one time I was waiting outside the office where all the officers meet and plan strategy and so forth. And he told me that when I see him, get ready to go. So I'm sitting in a Jeep. All of a sudden, I hear a screen door open, and there he is. So I jump out, run out around the Jeep, take the cover off the special license plate, jump back in the Jeep, step on the gas, and take off. And I drive about maybe 2 miles to like HG headquarters. And pull up in the where all the pebbles and the rocks and it makes noise and dust is coming in the air. I said, "We're here, sir." And I looked and he's not there. I got so excited then that when I saw him come out, I did everything I had to do, and I only forgot one thing. I forgot him. So I drove away, and he's standing there watching. Sometimes, drive away in the setting sun in Georgia, and everybody's kind of laughing at him because I'm going like a mad, even over the sidewalks and over cars just to get him there quick. So I came back like driving very slowly. "Sorry, sir." And he got in and said like HG or, and I brought him. But that was very embarrassing, and all my buddies when we had dinner that night, all they did was laugh at me. But it was fun driving for a colonel because he wanted to know what I did in civilian life, and I told him I was in the media. And then I said, "Where are we going today?" And he would say like, I'm going to be inspecting new equipment. "Oh, great." I said, "Can I see any of it?" He said, "You might see some of it, but you'll hear it." And they were testing new cannons. I had no idea how much noise they made, so I tried to get as close as I could. And it was a big cannon on like a little wire string, and it was just hanging there. And that cannon was maybe 8 feet long and huge around. There must have been like 100 generals there, and their drivers and lieutenants and so. But I was in the back of them watching. And there was maybe 2 miles away. There's a target or an old car or truck they're going to fire at to see how accurate it is. So they'd give a countdown. There was a guy, and he'd pull a cord, and the thing was like boom. I had no idea how loud it was going to be. So I'm there like big stupid smile on my face, can't wait. And all of a sudden, boom, like my teeth almost collapsed. And it took off, and everybody started applauding. I didn't know why they're clapping until I looked at the cannon. The thing, it never moved. It wasn't swaying, like the wire. And after it fired the shell, you'd think the cannon would be moving. It was perfectly still. And then they were applauding at that because it was a recoilless cannon, which meant it could be fired and people around it don't have to worry about being hit by it or it going out of control or falling off the thing. And I love those things. I'd watch machine gun practice. They were practicing with new machine guns. And then we'd go at night, like when you're in basic training. I don't know if you're ever going to be in the service, but I was in the Korean War service. And in training at night, it's all dark, and you're crawling with your rifle like this on the ground. And you get through an infiltration course, and it's maybe 100 yards, which is a long way. And what's scary is what you're crawling under is barbed wire. You don't dare move your head. And the scariest part were the rumors, because they said it was a big field down south out in the country. And it said, "Be careful in case you're crawling like this, and all of a sudden you come upon a snake that's in the field." Because as you go underneath, they count to 10, and another guy comes behind you, and another guy behind you. So while you're crawling like this, you can't stop, because the guys behind you are going to start like a choo-choo train. They're going to start banging into you. You got to keep moving, keep moving, keep. So that was very scary. Never happened to me. But after we got through that took about an hour to do all that. Everybody said, "Oh, thank God that's over with." I said, "All right, we're coming back tonight because we're going to do it, but you're going to be in full uniform with your rifle, and you're going to be doing it on your back, 100 yards." So Very scary. And then while you're doing on your back, going backwards, and really with your heels, you're digging in and your elbows, but you have to get your rifle in front of you and push up because the barbed wire can't scratch it. So you push it as the barbed wire. So you. This is part of the infiltration. All the soldiers go through it. But while to make it fun, well, as soon as you're halfway through, machine guns start firing over your head. And they're using tracer bullets. And this is fun if you're watching the fireworks at night at an amusement park. But like every 10th bullet, you see it like a flaming bullet going by. And it's very scary when you're on your back and all you're looking at is the stars, and all you hear is 1,000 other guys with you. You don't know where they are, and you're doing this with the barbed wire and the machine gun. You can't hear yourself think. And what was great about that was we all got through it, nobody got hurt, but it made you realize, God forbid, it was real, and you were fighting a war somewhere, and you had to go through this. And it isn't that they were fighting over your head; they were shooting at you. Very scary. So you grow up very fast, you mature quickly, and you take being in the Army very seriously, and you realize everybody's there. They really are your buddy, and they're there. The sergeant especially is there to keep you alive. Sergeant keeps you alive. And the first instruction we had was stay close to your sergeant because he will keep you alive. Those are memories that happened. I'm trying to think of something else that happened. Do you have anything I told you?
I remember that you had to take the windshield.
Oh yeah, when you're driving for the colonel and you're having maneuvers. That's when they're testing. You wear a red thing on your arm, like a bandana or something, and then the other team might be white or blue, and that's your team red, and you're different companies, part of the Army. And you're having a competition, and they're trying to capture you, and you're trying to capture them or try to stay up. So, what was I saying?
You're driving with Colonel.
You'll have to forgive me, little track someplace.
Because you had to go fast.
When they the story you want to hear, the quick story was he jumped into the Jeep and I started going, and down to Fort Benning, Georgia, it's all dusty and gravel and sand, and we're on this long straight ahead road with trees or orchards on the side, and all of a sudden he said, stop it. So I stopped it, and he said, put the windshield down, because in the Army, in combat, you don't want that glass in front of you. If they start shooting at you, God forbid, you're dead. So put that thing down, and then we wore like goggles. We put our goggles on, and I got it up to almost 100 miles an hour on that Jeep. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it felt like but it was in the 80s at least, if not 100. And all that dust and sand and stuff hitting you in the face, and your teeth are all dirty and knocking out your front teeth. And he's like hitting the side of the Jeep. Hurry, move it, step on it 7 times a road. I never forgot that. He was a nice man, but what a crazy way. What a living. This is what he does every day. And I said, when I go home, I'm going to go on the radio and talk to people about Frank Sinatra. He's still doing this. Someone took my place and he's driving 100 miles an hour down a dusty road. But if, God forbid, you're in combat, he's the man, him and your sergeant. You want a man who knows what he's doing, try to keep you alive. What else were you thinking of?
That basically
That was
covered
it?
everything.
All right.
Why
Those
don't you
are
say
2
goodbye
stories
to the people?
Okay, goodbye. This is Come Sicano. I'm Italian, and that means what's his name is here. I never know where to look.
It's on the little lens there.
Little lens up there. Okay, and there's a midget behind that little camera up there. Just taking my picture. Bye.
All right.